fertility, reproduction, and population. It is greatly to be hoped, therefore, that the Government of India will ensure that all the necessary information is obtained, analyzed, and published, and that a careful, objective, and intelligible statement is made available for the public to assist them in drawing conclusions as to where the most urgent needs of India lie for national betterment. So I personally believe that Dr. Jain's address to all of us today is going to fulfill that aspiration that was articulated by A.V. Hill more than 75 years ago. So I am personally very excited about listening to Dr. Jain, and I hope it will also enhance the reputation of our forum that we deal with all aspects of development of India by following scientific approaches. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Grover. We are all excited about today's lecture. But before that, Professor Gaurav Kalotra will give his brief remarks, and Professor Simrit Kahlon of the same department, Department of Geography, Punjab University, has very kindly consented to give an introduction to Professor Kalotra. Smriti, please.
Thank
Simrit.
you.
Sorry for getting the wrong name. Simrit Kahlon.
Thank you, Professor Kia, and it's such an honor being in a galaxy of, amongst a galaxy of scientists, most of whom I have only heard of and I don't know. Let me tell you, it's a great comfort seeing you here and Professor Grover and some people from my own department. I feel a bit at home. And I think it's a very wonderful initiative, and I'm sad that although we live right next door to the physics department, we have not been part of this initiative, nor have we been called as listeners. Institution building and nurturing institutions in independent India, I think more than dealing with purely science and technology, also deals largely with the sociology and history of institutions, because it has a lot to do with people and how people do it. Like Professor Grover just now pointed out, how this report was strategically, I do like the use of the word strategically, got approved from Mr. A.V. Hill, the Nobel laureate. And a lot of thinking goes into it. Most of us would like to work and do our own bit. Of course, that is very important. But the real men who promote or who contribute towards growth are the ones who are institution builders and who leave something for the institution. Most of us, like I once heard the former Prime Minister Chandrasekhar say, we are mere commas, and there is no full stop. Ultimately, it is institutions that survive, and they are the only ones that need to be built. Adding to that, I would also like to say, because the sociology and history of institutions is important, and when we are talking about the promotion of science and technology in India, I think it's very, very important, Professor Dharamveer, that we include more social scientists on this forum. That is a plea that I will have for you. And Census, of course, is largely about the social sciences, and we have been dealing with social scientists. Now coming to the reason why you've called me, thank you also for having called me to introduce Professor Gaurav. Although there are many more worthy people around who could have introduced him, I see some of them in the audience as well. Still, I'm very glad. I would like to, start with Professor Gaurav Kalotra and me. I am very proud and happy to have handed over the baton of chairpersonship to Professor Gaurav Kalotra. I am also very happy that I was part of initiating his professorship. I was the convener of the pre-screening committee, a thought that was very wisely and, implemented by Professor Grover, and a legacy that we still carry on in the departments. of Punjab University. Professor Gaurav Kalotra's CV or biodata is there in the public domain. It is there for all to see. But there is a certain quantification to it, numbers of research papers published and PhDs and MPhil supervised and all that. But what really was of, what I felt was remarkable was his association with the Census of India. You will hardly see a research paper of his which has not used data from the census. So in that sense, Professor Gaurav Kalotra is not only a census child and a census researcher, I would say. He is the most apt person today to be invited here as guest of honor. He has, I think, now more than or close to a quarter of a century of association with census data, of using census data. He has had the felicity of being associated with the census dons and doyens like Professor G.S. Kosal, Professor Smita Bhutani, and the late Professor R.P.S. Kosal, who was also his supervisor and his mentor for part of his research journey, which was culminated ultimately under the supervision of Professor Smita. Professor Gaurav has worked intensively with census. He can, just at random, he can tell you all the kinds of census tables that we have, the figures, at what level we have them. And he is also, I would like to say, a wonderful and a very thoughtful administrator. His greatest quality is that he is able to take everybody along, which again, I think is a very big thing when you are, dealing. Our system is such that most of the people that we have to deal with are far senior to us in the hierarchy of the university system. And let me tell you, it's a very tough task leading a department or being at the helm of affairs of a department where almost everybody is senior to you in some manner. But he has these qualities of head and heart. And I think you couldn't have chosen a better person as the guest of honor for this particular forum. I wish you all the best. And I think I am over with the time that is allotted to me. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I hand over to the next speaker. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor Simrit. That was a wonderful introduction. And also thank you for your thoughts on what SPSTI should take up more frequently. Thank you. And now I request Professor Gaurav Kalotra to give his remarks. Professor Kalotra, your address, please.
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks, Simrit ma'am, for so beautifully introducing me to the audience. Now, good morning, all of you. First of all, I'll express my heartfelt gratitude to the Society for Promotion of Science and Technology in India for identifying me as a person to be the guest of honor for this prestigious 16th lecture series titled Census and its Multidisciplinary Applications in this Data Age. Now, as far as census is concerned, Census of India provides a huge database of population. Now, and it covers a large number of facets like age, area, household and population, decadal variation in population, disability, education, female-headed households, fertility, general economic tables, household, house listing and housing census data, languages, marital status, migration, primary census abstracts, religion data, data on scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, slums, towns, village directories, villages by population size, class, workers, and social and cultural of census data covers majority of the demographic, social, cultural, and economic aspects of Indian population. Now, it's a huge database. The Census of India makes available to the people of this country and the researchers of this country after every 10 years. the last 3 census data that is available in e-format. They are Excel friendly. You can just download them or buy them from the census organization and just put it into your computer and you can start working on them. Then as far as research on census data is concerned, a lot of research has taken place on census data, and meaningful suggestions and recommendations have been provided by the various researchers, institutions to the census organization. Now I'll take the example of our department, that is Department of Geography, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Now this department, it has been known worldwide as a center of population geography, which was started by and nurtured by Professor G.S. Gosal. Now in our department, since its inception, there have been 109 PhD theses which have been submitted and a lot number of MPhil theses also. Now, out of these 109 theses, almost every thesis deals with census data. There are only a few PhD theses which are based on some other aspects of geography which are not dealing with census data. So in every PhD thesis, component of population is there. And when the component of population is there, we are using census data in this. Now, in some other, there are almost 18 PhD theses in which either population characteristics, population distribution, or migration comes in the title of the PhD thesis. There are some other PhD theses like on regional disparities and literacy disparities also. Or for this, the base is census data. Although we make a large number of indexes for that, but the variables which we pick, they are mostly from the census data. Although a lot of work has been done, not only at our department, but at other departments and centers also, but we have been able to utilize only a tip of the census data. A large number of census data which the Census of India gives to the public, it remains unutilized by the researchers. And one of the reasons for that is, although the census taking takes place in by the March of every decade, but the data is available to the researchers. I'll give you the example of migration data. For 1991 data, the data came out in 1997. So there is a gap of 7 years. In 2001, the data was made available by 2005. But again in 2011, it came out in somewhere in 2018 or 19. So there is a gap of 8 or 9 years. So if a person is working on such aspect, so the results, they get delayed. So it is my humble request to Dr. Abhishek Jain ji that this time, although this time he has assured us that this time the census taking would be in digital format, so we'll request him that kindly make the census data available, not if not to the general public, then to the researchers in a shorter period of time, so that we can make our analysis and we can do some meaningful research on that. So with this, thank you very much. And over to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kalotra, for your very thoughtful remarks. And now I request Mr. Dharamveer to introduce today's speaker. Dharamveer, please.
Dr. Jain is a personality of many accomplishments. He is an IAS officer of Himachal Cadre 2002 batch. Presently, he is Director Census Operations and Citizen Registration in the Ministry of Home Affairs, looking after Punjab and Chandigarh states. He has earlier worked as Secretary Education, Commissioner Industries, Special Secretary Industries, Labor and Employment, District Magistrate of Kulu, Hamirpur and Una districts, Director Social Justice, Labor Commissioner, etc. He has done PhD in economics, Master of International Development Policy from Duke University, fellow company secretary, Masters in economics, postgraduate diploma in rural development, bachelor in commerce, and micro masters in development economics from MIT, USA. He has won several gold medals in his training during his training at Missouri Academy. Dr. Jain takes keen interest in academics and research activities. He has more than 50 papers published in leading national and international journals, and a first ever census handbook for the district collectors or deputy commissioners, released by the Union Home Secretary in Vigyan Bhavan, New Delhi, 2011. He is a regular speaker at the premier institutions like Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Missouri. He has delivered lectures in more than 40 international and national conferences and workshops. He has spoken at a prestigious place including Harvard, Chicago, and Duke universities. So it's truly remarkable for an IAS officer to have achieved so much, not only in the administration, but also in the academics. I really admire your courage, your determination, and interest. I welcome you to speak now on the subject of census and how it is going to be different from the past. And I would also request if you can touch upon that how quickly the census data would be available to the planners, to the administrators, and even academics who will do research on many aspects of not only the economics, the economic development, but also on population, which itself is a very complex issue in our country. Okay, over to you, Abhishek.
Thank you, Dr. Abhishek. Please go ahead with your lecture.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dharmesh sir, and all the dignitaries. Good morning to all the ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for providing this opportunity. I hope I am audible properly to all of you.
Yes, to us.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for today's lecture. I'll be very brief in my lecture, and I would like to interact more after the lecture. So, without much ado, I'd like to start with the topic assigned to me, and just so is the slide visible?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So,
Yes,
pardon? So we start with the topic of census and its multidisciplinary application in this data age. And as I mentioned at the bottom, of course, the disclaimer for a government officer, this talk is my personal opinion and not of the government of India, because census is a very sensitive issue. So, and this talk is being delivered only for academic purposes, and purely the opinions expressed are my personal opinion and not of the government of India or of the state. So I will continue from where Professor Gaurav spoke, and the gist of my talk is that census collects data of humans for human welfare. And census is both a public good and census is for public. So this is what I consider to be the gist of my talk, that basically census deals with data, but ultimately the data is for humans, of humans, and for human welfare. And census has relevance to almost all disciplines. We have the dignitaries and professors from different departments here. Though it is considered the census is more relevant only for the demographic, no, I'll say census is relevant to all fields, including demography, economics, statistics, public administration, geography, sociology, anthropology, IT, political science, and of course, even the pure sciences also. Many things are related and interrelated, and thus census is a multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary domain. Census in India was introduced through the Census Act 1948 by India's first minister, Sardar Patel, and he recognized the importance of a continuous process of census and an organization, and that is why a formal Census Act was introduced in 1948. Now we all know what is census, and census is not just a process of collecting, but it is also a process of compiling, evaluating, analyzing, publishing, or otherwise disseminating. So I will highlight the word disseminating also here, because most of the time it is considered census is just collection of data. And the data does not pertain only to the demographic, as I mentioned in the previous slide, it also includes economic, social data, all persons in a well-defined part of the country. Now, we all know the importance of census, that it is a primary source of socio-economic and demographic data. It is the largest administrative exercise which provides data, disaggregated data from the national level to the village level. It is perhaps the only source of data which provides data from the national to the village level and up to the ward level. We all know the importance of evidence-based policies. So census is the backbone of evidence-based policies. It is used not only for policy formulation, but also for policy implementation. As far as various kinds of maps are concerned, be it the thematic maps or administrative maps, census is the biggest producer of maps. And for various purposes, including elections, reservation, delimitation, all of them use the census. Census is gaining importance for even big data analysis, and it is also a source for so many other survey designs, including for NSSO data or for Labor Bureau data or for whatever. Now, census is a basis for the self-sustainable development goals of the United Nations. As I mentioned earlier, it is a public good and it is for public.
Abhishek Jain.
For some reason, he got muted.
ये सब
कर रहे हैं
सर चेक करें एक बार
Mr. Jain, you are muted.
Dr. Jain was actually connected from two connections, and his one connection has been interrupted. He might be joining within few seconds again.
Anuj, do you have his phone number? Dhanabir phone karo.
मैं भी पावर कट हो गया मैम हाँ जी पॉसिबल है
होना तो नहीं चाहिए
He will be connecting shortly.
In the meantime, I may propose, after this lecture, we should also think of how demographic will change the HRD policies, should change the HRD policies,
Can you see it now?
We can hear you now.
Okay.
but not see your.
Okay. I'll connect from the another laptop. Just give me 1 minute.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yes, now we can
Yes,
see.
now we can see.
My screen?
Go full
Yes.
screen, please.
Okay.
You are on the first
I'm
slide.
really sorry what this problem is. So should I start from the beginning or you were able to
No,
hear?
no. Fourth slide.
Okay.
Slide 4.
Okay. This you have seen?
Yeah,
Yes, we have seen this.
Okay. So should I continue now?
yeah. Go to the
Yes.
next
No,
one.
yeah, this one also you have completed.
Okay. This one.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
were
yeah.
at this one.
You were here.
I'm really sorry that this technical snag occurred. I'm sorry for that.
No,
So
that's
we
okay.
know,
Go ahead.
so we
Please.
know that census is very important for achieving even the sustainable development goals. As I mentioned earlier, census is not only a public good, but it is for public good. And census implementation is part of the Sustainable Development Goal 17.19.2. It is used for public policy formulation, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. And the census of India has huge evidence value across the world because of the sheer numbers. India is second most populated country in the world, and as per the UN estimates and UNFPA estimates, it may surpass to become the most populated country by 2026 or 27. And census has something for everyone, not just for demographer or for researchers. As I will show, census has something for everyone. And census is the only source of primary data. We all know the distinction between the primary and the secondary data. There are so many other sources of data, including the NSSO data, Labor Bureau data, CMI data, and the National Health and Family Survey data. But this is the only source of data which is available for the whole country from, and it is published, the primary data is published for not only the country, but all state, district, sub-district, city, ward, village, and even the enumeration block. So in that sense, census holds a very, very significant value because of the only source of primary data for village up to the country level. Now we know data, the importance of data. If you see the latest World Development Report 2021, the data is the new oil, as they say, and its census produces the maximum amount of data in the country. I'll speak briefly about the methodology of census taking in India in the forthcoming census. I mentioned here census 2021. You might wonder that 21 is already gone. So why I'm mentioning 21? Because officially up to now, the census which was to be conducted during the year 20 and 21 has been postponed officially by the Government of India due to COVID reasons. And the new dates will be decided by the Government of India as they deem fit. And as of now, no dates are decided for the field enumeration work. However, the pre-census activities are in place. The methodology which will be adopted for the forthcoming census are, in my take, sort of disruptive technologies. We know disruptive technology is spoken by Harvard professors and how disruptive technologies are changing the world. There will be a paradigm shift this time in the conducting of census. It will be a completely digital census, and there will be a mixed mode approach. Now, when I speak of digital census, what do I mean? Does it mean only the digital data collection? No. So the digital census will have mainly, say, sort of 6 components. One is digital census data enumeration. That the data enumeration is proposed to be conducted digitally through mobile applications, which are around 5 mobile apps in 16 languages, English, Hindi, and 14 regional languages. So the data collection and enumeration would be digital. Of course, there is an option of providing a mixed mode approach that in case the enumerator is not comfortable with the mobile app, they can continue to collect the data as traditionally it was collected on paper. But the preference and thrust is to be given for collection of data on mobile applications because of various benefits. The second is this digital self-enumeration. Subject to certain conditions, as per our latest amendment in the census rules 1990, the citizens would be provided the option of digital self-enumeration, subject to certain conditions. Third would be the digital census mapping. Now, first time, the entire mapping operations, which are very important component of a census, will be done digitally. They will include digital house listing block mapping or enumeration block mapping through ArcGIS quick capture software. There will be digital ward boundary mapping. All the wards of all the urban areas will be prepared digitally. And there is one more component of how this built up area digitization project. So all these would be done digitally for enhancing census mapping. Then for the management and monitoring of a huge administrative exercise, which involves lakhs of people and number of operations, the entire monitoring and management would be done through a portal called CMMS, Census Management and Monitoring Portal, which would remove the necessity of any paperwork in various field operations, and it would also provide real-time basis monitoring of the work being done. So a person sitting in Delhi or in any state headquarter, all the officers and the various important functionaries would be able to monitor the functioning of and the progress of census in each and every village just at the click of a button on this portal. The next would be the digital payments. We know various functionaries in census are to be paid for their honorarium or for training or other things. Now the entire payments would be done digitally through PFMS, Public Finance and Management System, and direct benefit transfer. And the census data dissemination, which of course all researchers and other people are very much interested in. So this time it is being proposed as a census as a service. Now Professor Gaurav also spoke that the data availability is a big issue, and the data in traditional forms was available in Excel formats in different tables. There are more than 250 tables of census which are published. This time it would be census as a service, in the sense that people can ask in a sort of question format. For instance, they can say how many percentage of people are below this much age in this particular district of this particular state, and the data would be given in that format. So you can raise as a sort of query, and the data might be available in that shape, not just as prefixed Excel tables, but also in a query shape. And this is a new initiative which will be very, very useful for the researchers and academicians and even for policymakers. So these are the 6 main dimensions of the digital census, which is proposed to be conducted whenever the dates are decided. Now, we know the magnitude of the census. It is the biggest administrative exercise. I'll say it is bigger than even elections and Aadhaar, because elections are started and completed maybe in 2 months, 2.5 months. Census taking, including the 2 phases of census, takes at least more than 1 year. Aadhaar has, of course, so many good things. I am not going for comparison and superiority of one over the other, but Aadhaar has the parameters only on few indicators, maybe 8 or 10, whereas census has more than 75 to 80 indicators. The census involves enumeration of almost, say, if 1.35 billion population, if we say as per the estimates, twice, because first it is to be done in the house listing operations and second in the population enumeration. There will be almost 30 lakh enumerators to get the data of the entire country of more than 36 and states and UTs, 6.4 lakh villages, and the schedules and apps would be in all 16 languages covering the entire country. Now, why to use census data? We know it is reliable, it is high quality, it is comprehensive, disaggregated, it is geo-referenced. For the first time, it will be geo-referenced again, and census as a service. And that is why we say that whenever census data is quoted anywhere, including you quote it in anything, so nobody can question the authenticity. Even you quote census data in any Supreme Court affidavit or even anywhere, so the credibility is never at stake. Now, the census, we all know, and most of you would be knowing that it is conducted in 2 phases.
The first phase is called the house listing and housing census, which is basically to get the data regarding the households and the assets and amenities available in the houses. I have mentioned 10 further points. What are the different chronological steps taken in the first phase? Now, the first phase of house listing and housing census is completed in a period of 30 days. This time, along with the first phase, there will be an updation of NPR. Following the first phase of census, in the subsequent year, there is a second phase of census, which is called the population enumeration, which basically gets the data of the individuals. Now, if we see the data collection modes internationally, different countries have been adopting the digital census and with the various rates of success. If we see, like Norway, it is fully register based. Singapore is register based. Register based is basically that register of the citizens of the country is prepared one time, and then it is updated through birth and death, something which is also being thought of, including in our country, but that depends on so many initial conditions. Japan had earlier self-enumeration through paper schedules, and now it is adopting self-enumeration online, and the success rate is around 39.5%. Australia has self-enumeration again through online. United States has primary online survey or through telephone, and it has been adopted in the latest 2020 census also. Now, various mobile apps which will be used in the forthcoming census are mentioned here. They include the house listing and housing census app, NPR app, population enumeration app, ArcGIS quick capture mobile app, and the self-enumeration app of the portal. Now, this is a screenshot of the census management and monitoring portal. You can imagine that if more than 30 lakh enumerators are involved, and all the states, all districts, all Tehsildar, all EOs, municipal commissioner, district collectors, state governments, chief secretaries are involved, as well as the Directorate of Census Operations in all the states, as well as the Government of India. It requires huge logistics, management, and monitoring. And this will be the portal which will do all the things, including training, including transfer of funds, including monitoring on real-time basis. And the user ID password will be provided to the different functionaries of census. Now, this will be a census enumeration portal where people can do self-enumeration based on certain conditions. Now, census does not include only census. It has different components, including map, which is very important, including data dissemination unit, a data capture center, sample registration system, civil registration system, and others also. Now, talking about the mapping operations, this time there will be a geo-referencing of all the administrative units in the country. There will be an ArcGIS software which will be used for the house listing block mapping of each and every ward, each and every city, and other areas in the country. A built-up area digitization project is also being implemented to find out the built-up area and also to find out the overlapping or the omitted area during enumeration work. Now, different kind of map products are available for researcher, for academicians, for policymakers, for different stakeholders, which include the administrative atlas, atlas of jurisdictional changes since 1872, housing, household amenities and asset atlas, district census handbook, thematic maps on census data up to the sub-district level, village level maps, and town maps. Now, very frankly, I also worked around 20 years in IAS and as a deputy commissioner and secretary and director of different departments. Before joining the census, I myself was not aware that we have this mine house of information in different formats, not only in the Excel table, but in maps and so many other data visualization techniques, which is already available and which can be easily utilized by the state governments and other stakeholders, including academicians. And somehow we have not been able to use the different census data and maps to the extent it should be. Now, this is a sample of the proposed house listing and housing census schedule for the next census. It has 34 questions. Now, you will see that how detailed are the data collection points and indicators. This has around 34 indicators and questions. The NPI schedule may have around, say, I think, because it has not been finalized, but it may have around, say, for 12 to 15 questions. And the second phase of PE again would have around 30 or 32 questions. So all put together, tentatively, the census collects data on almost 75 kind of indicators, which are useful. And then the data is also published on almost all those 70 plus indicators. Now, this is a dimension of data available from the first phase. You have data on the housing, the use of census house, conditions, the composition, how many people own the house, how many married couple live, the material of floor, wall, the quality of life, how much is the availability of drinking water, treated sources, wastewater, bathroom, toilets, clean fuel, assets, laptops, access to internet, telephone, mobile, the two-wheeler or four-wheeler. And a new question included is the main cereal consumed this year. These are the data available sets which can be used for different kind of research also. From the second phase of census, which is the population enumeration, we get data on socio-cultural things, including religion, SC/ST, disability, mother tongue, education, demographic data, economic data, including worker status, occupation, and economic and non-economic activity. Interestingly, the mode of travel and distance to place of work, and migration data, which Professor spoke. I'll talk about it later, but these data are also available. Now the town directory is available for all. I have mentioned here Punjab because I'm director for Punjab and Chandigarh, but this town directory is available for all towns of the country. Includes the status and growth, the physical aspects, the civic amenities, medical facilities, education, cultural, industry, slums, and outgrowth with population. Similarly, for villages also, the data is available up to the ward level, for cities and village level, for almost all the socio-economic, demographic, and these kind of assets and ownership entitlement level things. Certain data, because in census, all the data is not published for all the levels of hierarchy. Certain data is available up to village and ward level, which I have mentioned in this slide. In the next slide, I am mentioning the data available, which is available up to the district level, which basically includes the housing census data, the disability data, marriage, population, religious community, occupational classification of workers, and number of women and currently married women. So these data are available up to the district level. So certain data are available only up to the state level. There is a mechanism of publishing the data at different level, which is decided by the Government of India. And these data which is available up to the state level include the data on slums, languages, and migration, SC/ST. So, I mean, not that SC/ST data only available up to the state level, but certain category within SC/ST, that is like classification by industrial category, IASc, this is available at the state level. For paucity of time, and I don't want to confuse people by giving too many details, that is why I am just highlighting the importance that the data is available. However, most of the data is available up to village and the ward level. Only a few data is available up to district or the state level. Now, the data products are available at the website. Now, recently, our department has refurbished and created a new website, censusindia.gov.in, and I would encourage all of you to kindly go through it. It is completely refurbished and very, very useful website, giving details on huge number of things. There are printed reports available in our Chandigarh office in sector 19, as well as the reports are available online also. There are administrative atlases, thematic maps, data sheets, and we also provide customized tables and maps. Now I'll come to what is the utility of census data to different users. As I mentioned earlier, even the United Nations says that census is not complete until the information collected is made available to potential users in a form suited to their needs. And that is why the census as a service, which I mentioned earlier, is being promoted this time. I emphasize that census is useful for all. Sometimes we feel that census is useful either for only government or for the academia or the researchers. However, I would like to disagree by saying that census is useful for all. It is useful for government. It is useful for businesses, for voluntary sector, NGOs, media, of course, academia, and also the citizenry. And I'll explain how. Now, speaking from the first point of the government, how the census data is useful for the government, we all know all the schemes of the government somewhere or the other utilize the census data, be it the National Health Mission or the Awas Yojana, LPG, Manrega, all of them use the census data at different points as per the requirements. Now, if we see, like, it is a map of the availability of the drinking water as per the sources available. Now, this map shows the availability of drinking water. It is 2011 data of Punjab, but it will show that as the color of green is greener or it is darker, it shows the more availability of drinking water in that particular district. And the other details are also mentioned. I'm just highlighting how the census data is used by different stakeholders. We know how it is used by government, just highlighting similarly the sources of availability of electricity percentage wise. Then for decentralized governance and improving the public service delivery, which is very critical for the citizens, we know for Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Swachh Bharat, health programs, and even for planning and implementation of recreation facilities, parks, and all that, census data is used. This gives the youth population of Punjab as per the percentage in 15 to 24 years category. Similarly, the urban male in working age population, we can see a big variation among the different districts of one state. We can say the same thing for the country as a whole also. But just to highlight that how census data can actually be used for so many things, not only by the government, but also by other stakeholders. Similarly, the households having mobile phone availability, again, we see a big variation among the different districts. Like speaking for Punjab, there are few places, districts like Pathankot and Sangrur and Barnala, which had less than 50 of households having mobile in 2011, whereas districts like Kapurthala and Patiala and SCS Nagar, they have more than 70%. So this data is not only useful for the government, but also by the private sector. You can imagine how useful it could be for Airtel or Jio or others. Households having car, jeep or two-wheeler, four-wheeler, again, big variations we can see from the data. Households having computer or laptop in 2011, you can see 2011 data shows that there were only a few districts which had 15% or more households having computer or laptop in their houses. Only those which are in, I think, brown color, like Bathinda, Patiala, SCS Nagar, relatively prosperous districts, they have more availability. And there are districts which have less than 6% of computer laptops. And if we are to conduct a digital governance scenario, we need to have all this data about the availability of the IT infrastructure with the people. Similarly, household having computer laptops and other things, you'll be surprised to see that in 2011, only 9.5% people had the computers, out of which 3.1% had laptop or computer with internet, and the remaining were without internet. And we can see the big variation in rural areas. 0.7% household had computer laptop with internet. Now, coming from government to the other sectors, which include the social innovation and social entrepreneurship, census is very relevant and very useful for social innovation and social entrepreneurship, for including the social innovation systems. If we see the religion-wise data of one state, Punjab, we can see the distribution of religion and the people belonging to different religions in different parts of the state. The right one shows the disability population in different districts of one state. Now, coming from this, I'll briefly touch upon one of its kind project, which has been initiated by me and my team, which is the Census Gallery and Information Kiosk, Chandigarh. Now, this is the first of its kind project, which I have mentioned as a one-stop place for all data needs. This is first project in the country with the purpose of making people aware about census, its importance, the methodology, and also the availability of different kinds of data. Because understanding census and its different things might be a difficult proposition. However, we have set up this census gallery and information kiosk in my office in sector 19 in Chandigarh. It is open to everyone whosoever wants to come, of course, with intimation. It has three main features. First is the census gallery. The second is a census information kiosk, which has been set up to provide data of different kinds in different shapes, including very good data visualization. And the third is the digital learning center. I am happy to tell that it is just been 4 months since its inauguration, and within that period, more than 100 IAS officers, including the chief secretaries and the deputy commissioners and the secretary to the government, and also various academicians, including from the Indian School of Business, even the team from Punjab University, Professor Gaurav and his other colleagues from different departments, from IIT, from Indian School of Business, and various other senior officers from Government of India, they have already visited. And I would urge all of you that if within a very short span of say half an hour to 1 hour, you want to understand about each and everything about the census, because this year census is celebrating 150 years of its inception since 1872, and various kinds of things are presented in a very, very nice and easy to understand manner. We'll be happy to host you, and you can get a huge amount of data from here. And we are also providing facility to the researchers to come and sit here, get the data in different shapes, which is not available on the internet, and do their research of different kinds. Now, how census can engage with the academic institutions? As I mentioned, exposure visit of faculty and students, we would very much welcome that, because understanding about the nuances, people may know a little bit about census, but not the nuances and the details, including mapping thing, including the coming census, including data visualization. So we will be very happy to have exposure visit of faculty and students. Then for research projects, for the census data is, I mean, you all know, Professor Gaurav mentioned that out of 109 PhDs in geography department in PU, almost all of them used census somewhere or the other. But I'll still say that there are very large number of untouched subjects and topics which can be very useful for the PhD or MPhil, or even for postdoc, or for writing their research papers. And we would encourage people that let us explore these things, which would be mutually useful, not only for the students or the university, but also for the country as a whole. Workshop, seminar, conference participation, research paper, policy briefs, training and capacity building, and data analysis. All of these things can be very well merged with census. Now, as I stated earlier, how census is linked not only to demographics, but I'll explain in the next few slides that how census is multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and how almost all the domains, especially of the social sciences, which Professor Simrit also spoke, that social sciences is very much related to census. So I'll just explain how it is relevant. Census and law, I start with this. The Census Act is there, 1948, rules, Citizenship Act, Citizenship Rule 2003, Registration of Birth and Death Act 69, and the rules 1990. So all of them have their legislative, the census has a legal framework in the form of various acts and rules, and of course, various notifications. Coming to economics, census is linked to almost all branches of economics. I am from economics also, and I can very well say it relates to micro, macro, development economics, public finance, behavioral economics, banking, econometrics, and if you talk latest, the RCT, randomized control trial, you name anything, monetary economics, for all things, census is related somewhere or the other. Sociology, we all know it is not just economics or law, but sociology also, which is very much related, and they sociology and census resonate with each other. Things like gender issues, migration, caste, urbanization, religion, fertility, education, all of them, you know the importance and how much data is used for different things. For public administration also, for public policy formulation in all the domains of different departments, policy implementation also, both at the state level, national level, at the district level, at the sub-district level, everywhere the census data is used. For instance, I was the district deputy commissioner and district collector, and when we used to have the policy implementation regarding, say, rural development or setting up of new patwar khanas or setting up of some new units like tahsils and citizen services, we used to refer to the census data. For rural development, urban development, panchayati raj, different domains, all of them use census. Coming to geography, census and geography is invariably related. Either it is in economic geography, urban geography, human geography, social, population, cultural, political, regional, transport, and the latest domains of GIS and remote sensing, all of them are interlinked with census. Census and anthropology, linguistic anthropology, migration, mother tongue, study of tribes, minorities, religion, caste-based studies and tribal studies, and different kind of other parameters. I just highlighting a few of them, but census has linked with anthropology and others also. For instance, the child sex ratio data may reveal certain indications that how the things are improving or not improving. This table shows that the child sex ratio is indeed declining from 81 to 2011, though the latest National Family and Health Survey shows improvement in this regard, but there are variations in different decadal data. Census and health, we all know health is also invariably linked, whether it is the sex ratio, the birth and death rates, which are determined not only through the census data, but as I mentioned earlier, we have the civil registration system. I am the Joint Registrar General Birth and Death for Punjab and Chandigarh, where the all the hospitals, be it government, private, they provide the monthly data on the birth and death in their respective jurisdictions, including infant mortality, stillbirth, and maternal mortality. There is another source of data which is called the sample registration system, which provides on an yearly basis the trends in the birth rate, death rate, and infant mortality, which is generated through sample registration units. And we cross-check the SRS data and the CRS data. So all these health and disability data, and including the age and marriage, all of them are related with the health department and can be used at various places. So to conclude, I'll say that census is for all. Census has stakes, and it applies to almost all the branches. It applies to all the stakeholders, not just government, not just researchers, but it includes the private sector, the voluntary sector, the mass media, the citizenry, the research organization, the academicians, the students, and census is for all. As the title of this forthcoming census is Jan Ganna Se Jan Kalyan. So census is to be used for public welfare, for public good, and census is for one and all. So with these, and these are some quick references if somebody wants to go into detail. There is a Census of India, first of its kind handbook, which has been, I am the principal author of this handbook, which was released by the Union Home Secretary. Then there is the paper on in Indian Journal of Public Ad, latest paper, me and one of my co-author Varinder Kaur on census mapping and role of GIS. And one more paper coming in a forthcoming edited book by Routledge Publishers. So with these words, I would thank all of you for your patient hearing, and I would be very happy to engage in any questions or clarifications. Just like to point out one thing about the availability of data, which my predecessors and speakers have spoken about. There are different methodologies for the release of data, and the data is released in different phases. if we see the release of the population data, which is called the provisional population table, they are released immediately after the conduct of the census, maybe in a span of say 15 days or maybe less than that. Immediately after the release of the data, the population of the country or the state or the different districts. However, as we go into the other indicators and domain, it is released as per a definite plan. I do recognize the need of quick release of data. That is why the digital census, which is happening for the first time, would enable the release of the data immediately. And it is expected that this time, the data which used to take years earlier might be released, say maximum within say a 1 year period from the conclusion of the census. However, it does not mean that you will have to wait for 1 year. As I told earlier, certain things are released immediately after the census. And you would also appreciate that there is a lot of work involved in post-census activities. Till now, like I am sitting in my office in Chandigarh, I have a regional center. Till now, there used to be a paper census. Now, all the paper schedules, which would number, for instance, I am heading in Chandigarh, in charge for the North India, I would receive almost 8 to 10 crore number of schedules for Punjab, Haryana, Jammu Kashmir, Himachal, Chandigarh. And they used to be digitized, scanned through different technologies, and that is why it takes a lot of time in these kind of things when it is on paper. Now with the digital methodologies, as soon as the data is uploaded, it would automatically get tabulated at the central server, and the things would be much faster. Second thing, post-census, there is a post-census survey which is done to find out the accuracy, completeness of data, so that we do not find overlapping or omission of data. And because of these things, I recognize that the migration data was released very late because of certain reasons, which I cannot explain here because it is determined by the Government of India. The migration data was the last one, but most of the other data was made available quickly. And this time, because of the digital census, it is proposed that the data would be available quite quickly. One just last point before I open for discussions and interaction is that I would urge all of you, to visit the census gallery and information kiosk, which has been set up here. You will really appreciate that how many things about census data of all the states. You may come from any stream, from government, from academic, from private sector, you will find something for you. And the second is the availability of data, which may not be there on the internet. We think that Google and internet provides everything. And the last thing I say is that the data which is already available is being used very less. I don't think that the 100% census data is being utilized even by academicians and researchers. There is a mine house of data available, which can be very much useful. As I go deeper and I recently had a presentation with the state government of Punjab to all the secretaries and the chief secretary and the district collectors. When I showed the detail, they said, sir, ये वाला data तो हम अपने level पे इकट्ठा करते रहते हैं, हमें पता होता पहले available है. We could have saved crores of rupees and lot of time. So I would urge that looking at the different domains of data availability, and which is not just available up to the national or state level, I would urge people to go up to the grassroots level and then use the data in hitherto areas where people have not gone, and it will be very useful for improving the lives of the people by generating evidence-based policies and research. So with these comments, I thank all of you, and I am open for questions and discussions and your comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this extremely interesting talk. And I'm sure people are brimming with questions. So now I ask people, so Dr. Gaurav Kalotra is the first one to raise hand. Gaurav, please ask your question.
Ma'am, he was clapping.
digitally. You was clapping
Nahi, nahi.
digitally.
Hand
I'm
raise
just clapping, ma'am. No, no, ma'am, I'm just
So you
clapping.
didn't realize
Okay,
this
okay,
is
okay.
digital
Okay,
communication. You have to learn also.
okay, sorry.
So
So as I said, I'm going into the ancient category very fast. So
Then let others ask, then I will ask.
you ask. So
Okay.
Dharamveer is one person who has many questions written down. Ek पूछना.
You see, first, thank you very much for such a wholesome and comprehensive presentation on the census. It is really remarkable, and I think we will request you to deliver your lectures in physical mode in times to come, in a couple of weeks or a month. I hope you'll accept our invitation. Second, I have a couple of questions. Why is it not possible to link the census data with the Aadhaar card formally? Because that is also getting linked to the birth and death certificates. So it will really keep updating your registers on almost current time to time on the concurrent basis. That is one question. Second is, what kind of analysis would be carried out by the government? Let us say to deal, as you mentioned, obliquely or perhaps directly, about education, literacy, as you mentioned, and healthcare. Don't you think there should be like a UID? There should be a number given to the citizen as part of the population data, so that they all get integrated in due course of time. And maybe at some 20, 30 years afterwards, you have only one card like UID, which serves the purpose for income tax, serves the purpose of population register. For every service, every interaction, he carries some kind of a number, which is like a citizen's number. So what are
Okay.
your...
Yeah. So thank you for the questions. I'll deal first with one small thing, which is the analysis by the government. Now, of course, the data which is published after the census is analyzed by almost everyone, and not only by the government. So I am very much sure that education, health, and all that data would invariably be analyzed, and they will be using this census data for their future policies. And it is not just at the central level, but even at the state and the district levels. Now, I get your questions of linking the census data with other things, including a unique ID card. I just like to inform that in 2003, there was a initiative to have a unique ID card on the pattern of just like a social security card in US, which will have linkages with all different important databases of passport and driving license and voter card, all that. However, due to and there was a proposal to distribute these cards to the citizens. For whatever reason, that was under pipeline. However, subsequently Aadhaar came. Now, Aadhaar is already linked with the census. It is not mandatory. There are different things which Aadhaar do not share. Let me tell you the current thing. The current thing is that in addition to census, there is a national population register, as I mentioned, which will be updated. The national population register was originally created in the year 2010. It was updated in the year 2015, and Aadhaar was linked to the national population register. This time it is proposed to update it further. Now that has already questions on the different data sets, including Aadhaar. It will have around 5 to 6 things like your passport number, your voter card, your driving license, your EPIC number, your Aadhaar number, and citizens would be asked to provide this the data on these different documents on a voluntary basis. Citizenship register or the national population register is being updated. I am not very sure that after this they will issue a unique ID card or not, because at present there is no such communication. However, the proposal is to integrate the information of the citizens on different documents and then use it collectively. Aadhaar number is linked with the census, but I'll still say that because of various legal and technical issues, Aadhaar do not share too many things with the other, including because of some Supreme Court order also. However, I'll say that there are thinking processes which are in the direction of linking the civil registration system, the birth and death data, with the census data or the national population register data. That once we create a national population register and linked it with the birth and death data, then we can add the people who are born and delete the people who are dying. But it requires lots of preparation, because our birth and death, the civil registration system also needs to be completely digital. They need to be completely merged with the census. But there are processes in thoughts, and it is being worked upon that there should be linkage of other things with census so as to have a continuous data set.
Thank you, Dr. Abhishek. Your next question is from Dr. Rajesh Chandar of Punjab University Women's Studies. So,
Good morning, Abhishek sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, good morning.
So, sir, I had the privilege of listening to you at ICSSR complex. Dr. Gaurav Kalotra was also present. I think it was the first offline meeting after post-COVID in ICSR, which was held after 2 years. So, sir, my humble submission is about the digital divide prevalent in our society and effectiveness and efficiency of the census data. So, sir, let me articulate, please. As you are aware, there is a gender, caste, class, rural-urban divide, as well as regional divide, as far as access to fast-paced internet services are concerned. Just to give you one example, dropout rate amongst girls, which was already high in COVID years, of it increased even further. Dropout, it even increased further. And having taken online classes for the last 2 years, I could see that the students who are at the remote areas, they are not able to, you can say, access smartphones, internet services properly. And giving you a lived example, I was presiding officer in 2014 Lok Sabha elections at Chandigarh. So common people, they don't know, they are not aware how to use EVM. So technology is not accessible to all. So this is my main point. And as you concluded in your talk, that census should be for everybody. So how to have this multiple methodologies approach of digital access as well as paper census, as you already pointed out, so that we really have more effective and efficient data, rich and deep data, and this is more inclusive for everybody. So this is my submission.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So thank you, Rajesh ji. As I stated earlier, that there will be a mixed mode approach for the data collection this time. Mixed mode approach means that, of course, there are the options of the self-enumeration and the option of data collection digitally through the mobile applications. Yet, the option of collecting data by the enumerators on the traditional paper schedules would continue. Mobile apps and paper schedules would have the same questionnaire. The only thing is, on the mobile application, it would just be translated in a drop-down menu. Now, I do recognize that because of different constraints, we have digital divide. We have the access to different people at a different level. The mobile applications have been made offline to work in offline mode. So they won't require any mobile data on at the time of collection of data. Only at the time of uploading of data, one time it is required. So the digital is being accompanied and complemented by the paper one. However, as you would appreciate, if the things are towards the digital mode to the extent possible. The data compilation, data tabulation, data finalization, and the data release would be quite quick. That is the only point, because it would automatically go. Otherwise, we have huge amount. You can imagine that for the whole country, the paper schedules are to be scanned, the data is to be digitized, and then it is transmitted for after checking for accuracy. So, and the as I stated earlier, the mobile application would work in offline mode also. However, for places where there is data, this shadow area, or certain places where people may not be comfortable with the using of mobile, they can continue to do it on the paper schedule, which would then be further scanned and then the data would be collected. So that is why a mixed mode approach would also be provided, and including for the data security also, a backup would be kept.
Thank you, Dr. Abhishek. Now I request Rajni or Anuj to check if there are any questions on the Facebook.
I am checking now.
Facebook में दिख रहा है कुछ, अनुज?
मैं check कर रहा हूँ. I'm just checking now.
एक सवाल और मैं पूछ.
So meanwhile, Dharamveer is going to ask one more question. Quick.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
I also want to know what is the experience of usage of data by governments as well as the academics in the past. Did a lot of governments use the data to improve their...
You have been in government at the highest levels, and I would be a very small person in front of you to say how much data is used by the government in census. However, I'll say that it is on our part also that somehow we were not able to provide the data in the user format to the different departments. Moreover, I feel that there is a lot of importance for the data dissemination and also the availability of data. If, for instance, I mentioned that a few days back, I had this presentation to the Chandigarh administration and the Punjab government to all the different departments, that these are the departments, you name a department of which the data is not available from the state to the district to the tehsil level. So if the departments are made more aware about the availability and access, not only availability, but access to data for things pertaining to their department, for instance, the education. For instance, recently when we were speaking, so I showed data about the number of degree colleges in Punjab per 10,000 population. So when we showed that there is a huge variation in the setting up of the colleges, not in consonance with the demand, then the secretary of the concerned department was thinking, no, we should use this data. Similarly for health, similarly for mining, similarly for so many other things, water and other things. So if this is from our part. Second is, sometimes the government departments, they may also not feel very confident that array census ka data to 10 saal purana hai. For instance, I say something to someone in 2021 or 22, they will say, array, the first thing is they will say, array 10 saal purana data hai. Iski hame aaj kya utility hai? But that is not the case so. Because some of the things might change, say 2 or 4% maximum. Certain indicators may not change substantially, and that provides you the base. However, we are looking at the end of this decade. When the data of the next census is made available, immediately in the next 1, 2 or 3 years, it will be highly useful. As far as the use of data by the researchers is concerned, again, I feel that researchers have been using this data. I myself have written a lot of papers. However, I still say that it is more in terms of the data rather than on the methodologies and other aspects of census. most of the researchers and practitioners might be just using the data, published data. Okay, that's one thing. But there could be other dimensions. For instance, the gender dimensions of data. A few days back, I was asking my office people कि ये बताओ कि जो census है, उसमें census का enumerator जो जाता है लोगों के घरों में, उसमें कितने मेल जाते हैं, कितने फीमेल गए last census में? Because you would appreciate that if a male enumerator goes to some house and some respondent is female, vis-a-vis some female goes and the respondent is female, the response rate or the accuracy rate might be different. So gender issues are there. Similarly, the methodology is there. Similarly, the digital divide. Similarly, the empowerment to the various categories of people, including the disempowered categories. Similarly, the omission and duplication. Similarly, your disaggregated maps at the decentralized level. So these are certain domains where even the researchers can explore more options, and also the latest field of the big data. Now, census se bada to koi big data ke liye source nahi hai. So I would say that yes, the census data is being used by researchers. However, I would say that in addition to only the published data, they can also work on other different things which might actually be useful. Like for this time, I am proposing that at least 50% of my enumerators, at least 50% of my enumerator, which are like 68,000 in Punjab. We have 30 lakh enumerators in the entire country. 68,000 are in Punjab. I have said that at least 50% of the enumerators should be female. And let us see what results in terms of the quality of output, in terms of the coverage, and in terms of the response rate. I definitely feel that it would be better if we have more female enumerators. So the gender dimensions and other things could also be explored.
Thank you, Dr. Abhishek. One thing connected, when you talk about enumerators, earlier times it used to be, many of them used to be school teachers commissioned for the purpose. So where are you going to, is there going to be any change in that policy this time? Ye aapka bahut bada criticism hai.
So as per the Census Act and census rules, the persons who are appointed as enumerators and supervisors are basically school teachers belonging to the same village where they work, supplemented by other government staff, including Anganwadi workers, including government staff of the state government and the central government. So though the preference is given to the teachers, but other persons are also eligible and they also do. The final decision is not taken by me. The final decision is taken by the state government and the principal census officer, who is basically the deputy commissioner, who has to see कि हमने किसको लगाना है. The guidelines are there, but it is not that only teachers are to be deployed.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Now I request Nishant Srivastav to present his question or comments.
Thank you. Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible, please?
Yes, yes.
My question, first of all, let me congratulate you to elaborate and very gigantic view of census. It is just a tremendous knowledge booster to all of us. But my question is that everybody is afraid of the statistics, right from the childhood to the senior level, anywhere, right, in the bureaucracy or politicians or academicians, even otherwise. So statistical data, as you said, that in user format, there has to be two-way communication. That means the people who are seeking the data should be able to get it properly. And why not your department or your, if it can be widened, the scope, why not provide science and technology or sociologist or something relevant data to their suitability, so that it can be done in a very short period and they are able to utilize the facts. So is it something of that kind of thought process going on?
So as I mentioned earlier, we published more than 250 kind of tables, which were in different formats. Now there is also the linking of the data of all the census since 1951. So you can have a time series data and you can do cross-sectional and time series and temporal studies. As far as providing data on a user-friendly format, I do recognize that it is very much required. That is why I said that data visualization is being done. If you see the latest website of the Census Department, which has just been released, I think last month by the Union Home Minister, that it is very user friendly. It has data on almost all the things and a very, very easy, and data visualization has been made very easy. Now, in addition to that, at few places like in my office in Chandigarh, where we have set up the census gallery, if you come, even a school student will be able to understand and use the things which has been displayed here. Rather than saying, I would encourage you, please come, and we are inviting even the school students, even एक चौथी या पांचवी क्लास का बच्चा भी आके, and how I am saying is, the proof is that in the census information kiosk we have put up a small quiz for the kids also, that how much they have learned after seeing the whole thing, and they get a certificate after doing the things. So the data visualization is being made easier. In the forthcoming census, as I mentioned earlier, census as a service component is being provided, which will give you data in a query format. So you want a schedule caste of say 15 to 30-year population of this category of this particular district. So this might be available, but as I said, it is under process and it would be released after the forthcoming census. So we are waiting for the next dates to be announced by the Government of India. And after that, of course, it is being envisaged. However, it involves lots of challenges. It is not so easy to provide it because the authenticity also has to be seen. Somebody will give the data and then quote it somewhere from census, and then we'll be in a soup. But of course, we are on the way, and census website is already doing that. You can come to our office, and other things are in the pipeline.
Just to mention about the 4 mobile apps which are concurrent and you are going to utilize them. So it will be incumbent upon the people to fill it up through the mobile app, or household affair as has been the practice?
No.
Or it will be hybrid?
The enumerator would ask a question from the citizen or the respondent. They would ask, अच्छा आपके घर में motorcycle hai? So they will say yes, no, or whatever response. The enumerator will fill out of the drop down menu. तो citizen को नहीं भरना है, हम आपको क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे, वो जो उन्होंने आंसर दिया उस आंसर को enumerator जो है वो अपने मोबाइल ऐप पे फिल करेगा. और दूसरा उसका फायदा ये है, you all know that these techniques like CAPI, these kind of computer assisted response are being used across the world. इससे फायदा ये होगा कि उनको टाइम सेव होगा, because it give just a drop down. Plus
data will be uploaded immediately.
हैंडराइटिंग में लिखा है 7 पढ़ हो रहा है 9, तो उस टाइप की चीजें नहीं होंगी.
Correct. That is good. Thank you, dear. Nice to know, and hope all the best for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
madam, you can.
Yes, CL, please identify yourself and ask a question. Please be brief. We are running out of time.
I am Chaman Lal. I have retired as engineer from Haryana PWD.
Namaskar. Sorry, मैंने पहचाना नहीं.
कौन है? रोशन है?
चमन लाल.
चमन लाल, क्या हाल है भाई?
बस एकदम ठीक है सर.
Let me introduce him. He has been engineer in chief in Haryana. A very good engineer. We worked together for nearly 3.5 years.
I'm sharing my experience when I was in NRRDA, looking after the PMJSY work. At that time, we needed to have a list of all the habitations, which and their locations on geographical, some format on geographical one. It was very hard to find out. In fact, the NRRD office was just within 2 kilometers range of census office as well, but it was just not available. So my request to the census department would be that, and this is one of the most fundamental list, the list of habitation. And thereafter, whatever the population of the data is to be done, that has to be done against the habitation. So publishing a list in in a user format, let us say Excel or something of this kind, and giving the basic data of the population, male population and the female population, and its location, maybe in terms of longitude, latitude. That would be great. And I hope that this time, this list would be published in as bare a form as it is, as would be required, so that at least the road departments and all those persons who are providing infrastructure to the habitations, they are able to really know if the infrastructure has reached the habitations or not. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chamanlal, as I mentioned earlier, the data is published up to the city level, town level, and within the towns up to the village level, up to the ward level. In terms of that, this is in terms of the urban areas. In terms of the rural areas, the data is published up to the village level. In census, the jurisdictions or the administrative units, the lowest administrative unit is village for rural area and ward for urban area. So we publish the data for cities and wards and villages. So as far as habitations is concerned, so the data is not compiled, or the census is not conducted habitation wise. It is conducted up to the ward level in urban areas and up to village level in the rural areas. And that is why the data is published for these things, not for habitations. However, for most of the places, I also done PMGSY research and all that. Many things could be obtained through the village level data of like 250 or 500 villages in rural areas. But this is a thing of the past. As I stated earlier, all of the government definitely recognizes the need of user-friendly data in the most effective and least possible time. And that is why census as a service is being proposed. If you again see, I would reiterate, if you again see our website and go through the different things, you will be able to get these data already, that which are the villages below these population, which are the villages or wards below these population. And they have actually been used for PMGSY, for NREGA and other things. However, we will definitely continue to improve upon the ease of access of data to the different users. And the decision on all these things is taken by the government after a lot of deliberations, which is in the data users conference, because almost all the ministries feel that for all of their work, they should get data from the census. Of course, we know why, because it is 100% primary data. It is not a sample base of say 50,000 or 1 lakh people out of 1.35 billion population. कि 50,000 या 1 लाख के बेस पे सैंपल साइज के बेस पे हम उसको एक्सट्रापोलेट करके रिजल्ट निकालें. It is 100% sample primary data, but there are constraints of how many questions to be asked. We already are asking 34 questions in the first phase and 30 questions in the second phase. But nevertheless, this ease of access of data is very much there, and we will note down your comments. But as I said, our lowest administrative unit is village for rural area and city and ward for urban areas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Alok ji. Alok Shrivastava.
Okay. It was a very thought-provoking presentation, and I learned a lot from you, Dr. Jain. I'm actually a scientist. I'm a chemist, to be more precise. तो आप लोग तो ह्यूमैनिटीज के बारे में ही काफी हमें लगा, जो आपका चार्ट था कि और केटरिंग मोस्टली टू द ह्यूमैनिटीज पीपल लाइक सोशल साइंसेज, ज्योग्राफी एंड आई जस्ट सॉ ऑल द इकोनॉमिक्स. पर हम लोग के लिए ये डेटा कहाँ तक हम लोग यूज कर पाएंगे? आई हैव टू रियली नाउ थिंक अबाउट इट आफ्टर लिसनिंग टू इट. वी विल डेफिनेटली लाइक टू delve deeper into the data which you are providing to us. पर मेरा मेन जो इशू जो है वो ये है कि आपने बताया कि जब आप लोग जाते हैं और मीटिंग में और people say कि your data is very old, 10 साल, इसलिए we will not be able to use, but they don't have their own data. That's so whatever you have at least you should think positive and use that data, and then you can do the fine tuning. So gross decisions you can take and fine decisions you can take later. तो उसमें एक चीज जो मुझे स्ट्राइक कर रही थी वो थी कि sometimes I use for my research वो जो ईयर बुक पब्लिश होती है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से, and I always feel that yearbook is updated, it's the latest. तो आप ये क्योंकि mostly the data which we see in the yearbook must be coming from your census only, na? So does it get like updated?
Okay, so thank you, Professor Alok. Indeed, it is very heartening to know that census and science is being explored for their interoperability and resonance. In fact, I would suggest that since there are more than 75 indicators on which the census data is already there, and now it is not just that is why I'm saying census does not mean only post-census data. Census also means the application of technologies. Like one of my forthcoming paper, I mentioned that it is a disruptive technologies and the application of advanced technologies in census, how it will make a huge impact. Because earlier it was said that census work is, say, 10% or 20% before census and 80% after census. Because you had to compile, you had to tabulate, you had to analyze, and you had to publish. And now with the digital census, it's going to be completely reverse. 80% pre-census and 20% post-census, because everything would be done digitally automatically on the servers and all those things. So, and the application of digital technologies is of course a stream and a link with the science. I delivered a talk in IIT Delhi and IIT Ropar a few days back on these issues also. I definitely feel that there are lots of things in census related with the science also. Be it the digital technologies, be it the application, be it the digital divide, and also certain data also. For instance, the availability of mobile, the transportation time from and to the place of work, and so many other things are also there. Now, as far as you mentioned about the India yearbook, the census is conducted after 10 years. Just to mention, it's not an easy, it's the biggest administrative exercise in the country and of course in the world. Just to give a tentative estimate, the cost of conducting one census in the forthcoming census would be more than 12,000 crore. 12,000 crore plus is the cost of conducting one census. It will involve more than 30 lakh enumerators. And that is why it's not easy. It's very easy to say, "Arey census har 2 saal mein kyun nahi kara lete?" But there are international protocols as per United Nations also. Most of the countries are conducting the census once in a decade. That is why it is called decadal census. However, to update the data, now if the department is a 10-year-old, we are looking at it because we are at the end of the decade. Now suppose the census data is released in 2011. So for 12, 13, 14, 15, it is fresh. And many things don't change. Of course, they provide the base even later on. As far as updation of data is concerned, the data is updated not through census, but other things which I mentioned, including the civil registration system and the sample registration system, which update on an yearly basis, not just yearly basis. Civil registration system gives monthly data on the birth, death, infant mortality, maternal mortality, and the stillbirth. Similarly, the sample registration system data provides an annual update of most of the health and vital statistics, including the death rate, the trend in death rate, the trend in birth rate, the trend in stillbirth, and the trend in infant mortality. So certain kinds of data are updated. However, most of the data which is collected in census, that is at present updated after the next census only. In fact, on these things, I presented, I wrote a paper and highlighted that how even the data which is available, if we do an empirical study, I recently did an empirical study on the health situation in Punjab and how the data from the last 10 years shows very vital inputs for the policymakers, which I presented to the senior officers of the government. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like, could you please share your paper which discusses how we scientists can really contribute.
Sir, it is under publication with a book, and of course, you know that till the time it is published, I can't share it officially.
I see. Okay. So I'll wait for the book. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. There don't seem to be any other questions. So, Professor Kohli, would you like to say something? Yeah.
Yes. You know, three things I would like to share. One, I must compliment the speaker, Dr. Jain. Very good lecture. I had many questions in my mind before I, entered this arena for listening to him. All those questions got automatically, answered during his lecture. I congratulate and I compliment you on this lecture. One simple comment. At the beginning, you say that it is a census of the humans, for the humans. I would request you add to it by the humans as well. Of the people, for the people, and by the people. The relationship between census and the sciences. I have been using this data for the last about 20 years. 2001 census, I tried to use it when I was to go to Finland to talk about the, the urban forestry of Chandigarh. At that time, there was no census that, at that time I was interested to find out, to compare the carrying capacity of Finland to the carrying capacity of Chandigarh. So for that matter, I wanted to know the number of people and the other, natural resources which are required for maintaining the city. So at that time, there was no data on the density, population density. I went to sector 17 to find it out. They also didn't know. Then I calculated myself. Number of people divided by the area. So that way, I tried to find out the groundwater in the area. So these things which are important for estimating the carrying capacity had to be found out. Then for your, maybe you are interested to know that we already conducted, I am a botanist, for Chandigarh administration, I conducted a census of trees of Chandigarh. Trees also live almost the same age as that of man. So this is good. I am really very happy that now the whole data will be digitalized. So the scientists can use it much better, and everything I understand that everything cannot be put on a plate for the people to take. One has to exercise on it. One has to work on it. So I do not have questions. I just wanted to compliment Dr. Jain. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Kohli. Just like to mention one or two small points quickly. I know the time is running up. Census is invariably linked to science. No doubt about this. I myself, during my master's in Duke University and also micromasters in MIT, I used a lot of census data for things like environment, ecology, sustainable development, sustainable digital transformation, and all that. Second is that as the things are progressing, we have also set up a unique census GIS lab in our office, which was inaugurated again by the Census Commissioner of India, Dr. Vivek Joshi, which provides a very up-to-date and latest GIS technologies and the softwares for the spatial application of different things, not only humans, but also forestry and other things and the water bodies and all those things. And recently, including the advisor Chandigarh and all his finance secretary, education secretary, collector, commissioner, all of them, they were surprised to see that our lab is much more advanced than the lab of the entire Chandigarh administration. So these are being utilized, and we would urge that people can come and you can come and have a visit. Last point is a census data research workstation. The government is setting up. There are 18 census data research workstations already in the country. The first one was set up in JNU. In Punjab, we have one in Punjabi University, Patiala. recently we have signed MOU for setting up of 3 or 4 more census data research workstations in Indian School of Business, Mohali, IIT Ropar, IK Gujarat Punjab Technical University, Kapurthala, and Central University, Bathinda. Now, these central census data research workstation would be providing micro level data, anonymized but micro level data for each and every individual. Because in census, we do not provide individual data, but these census data research workstation would be provided even the individual level data, of course, masked data, which can be used for research and academic purposes by that institutions as well as other researchers. I am not very happy to say that I wanted to set up one in Punjab University, for which I am an alumni of the university. I had written 2 letters to the authorities that we will give everything, you just give your consent, because we have already set up 4 recently in Punjab, in IIT, ISB, Indian School of Business. Somehow I couldn't get the reply, and that is why I am setting up in Mahatma Gandhi State Institute of Public Administration. So, so probably they have missed a chance. It's not my loss, it's the loss of the researchers and other people.
I would request you can set up this in Amity University.
Where?
In Mohali.
So Amity University is there in Mohali. Okay, we can set up, you can meet me and we can tie up, because we require approval from the Government of India. We'll be happy to set up it. We
will be very happy. We'll be very happy to have it here, and we will, even contribute towards this.
Yes. And just in your vicinity, the Indian School of Business has almost finished it.
Good.
So if you send a proposal, we'll be happy to set it after approval from the Government of India.
Sure. Nice of you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. Anybody else?
Professor Grover, do you have any comment? Satyamurthy ji. Professor Satyamurthy.
Grover sir,
you are on mute.
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to Dr. Jain. Wonderful.
I'm very happy that we hosted this talk, because I was supposed to give a talk which was to cover the Institute of Population Studies, which came into being after Indian independence at the call of A.V. Hill report. So that the Gaurav Tata Trust had taken initiative to create this International Institute for Population Studies. So it is not only the census within India, but look at the population data globally and train people globally to do this kind of a data science. So anyway, that talk is pending, but that was a thought I had, that I will cover that, what goes on in that institute as well.
Thank you.
Grover साहब, डेबिट में हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ पड़ा रहना चाहिए.
Because it's an institute which was set up by JRD Tata at the initiative of JRD Tata. So the Gaurav Tata Trust not only set up the institute, and it is very close to Tata Institute of Social Sciences, that International Institute of Population Studies. I don't know how much do they collaborate, but these 2 institutes are just in near proximity. PISS set up in 1936.
I have visited it. Yeah, I have visited it when it was founded. That time was a student.
PISS was created.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Please.
Madam, just wanted to talk about that. I am also an IIT Delhi veteran, and as well, my son is from MIT. So all said and done, everything is.
आवाज नहीं आ रहा.
Please unmute.
Unmute yourself.
Nishant Srivastava, please unmute. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, I just wanted to compliment about the whole knowledgeable session to all the people and all the organizers also. Just to add to this, when is it going to be? Because Census 21, my question is, because Amit Shah ji has said that it will be done in 24 only because of the COVID. So is it likely to be done in 22 or second half?
No, I don't think you have read correctly. I have not seen any statement by the Honorable Minister that it will be in 2024. No, I have not. There is no official. The dates are to be announced. They were postponed. The original schedule was in April to September 2020.
21, yeah.
Yeah, and the second phase was to be conducted in February 2021, just before the start of the field enumeration work in April 2020. Because of the COVID and the lockdown,
Yeah, COVID was the issue.
it was postponed because it involves the field enumeration and going from house to house.
The laws that
Because
have been
that
made,
the census has been
have some
postponed.
Environment science technology.
Again,
Right.
it
lot of
is
facts are there.
undecided what time it will be conducted. So
Environment,
as soon as the government of
medical
India,
technology.
because I can speak only if there is some written communication when it is to be conducted. So
Okay.
whenever the government feels as per the situation, the new
The
data,
convenient situation of
and
post
it will be
COVID.
for the country as a whole, not for a particular state.
I see.
But the dates have not been announced for the field enumeration work. Let me tell you, there are lots of activities. Otherwise, आप सोचेंगे census नहीं हो रहा तो जैन साहब दफ्तर में बैठ के क्या करते होंगे?
I was going to ask this question.
Yeah.
You have preempted it.
You have been customizing and making it user friendly.
No,
That
no,
is something of a big.
There are
great
lots
thing.
of pre-census activities involved, including the finalization of jurisdiction.
I see.
Creation of digital maps, concordance statements, and so many other things, and field visits. So, जब भी field enumeration काम होगा, because field, let me tell you, the field enumeration work is to be done in a time specified period. It is only 30 days for the first phase and 21 days for the second phase. Now imagine you are to enumerate and ask almost 34 questions from each and every household, चाहे वो आयरलैंड पे हो, चाहे 15,000 फीट की हाइट पे पहाड़ पे हो, चाहे कहीं ट्राइब में हो. We are to cover each and every person in 1.35 billion population. Reach there, ask at least 34 questions and cover the entire exercise in a span of 21 days. So that is why it involves a lot of work before census, and that is what we are doing. जब census की date आएगी तो you will get to know very immediately through the media. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The GS Kant has something.
And Professor Kant
Yes.
usually has
Thanks, Dr. Jain, for such an excellent talk. There's a great deal of information which we have got. The question in my mind, you probably mentioned last that you are going to open up centers in Punjabi University. Patiala already exists, and Bathinda, as well as Professor Kohli has requested for another one. My concern is about the large number of, even in Punjab, large number of institutions and colleges producing graduates, technical or otherwise. The claims are made by every institution that they are able to employ probably a large percentage of their people. Whereas the situation is that a large number of unemployed are being produced by these technical institutes as well as universities. Now that it is being mentioned that what do you do when the census is not there? Here is a work for you. Anyway, is it possible to find out the exact information about the persons being produced unemployable by these institutions? Because apparently these institutions try to attract people and probably confuse students who are joining it. Thank you, sir.
I will say that everyone desires that census should be the jack of all trade. Everything should be made available from census, so that every department gets ready-made data, and that is why the questions get longer. And but you can imagine कि अगर आपके घर में आके कोई आपको 2 बार 30 सवाल पूछे, आप बोलोगे बस करो यार हो गया. So that is why there is a limitation between we have to balance between demand and supply. Like how many questions we can ask and how many questions we are supposed to ask. This data which you are asking about the unemployment or the college graduates, of course, there are specified questions जो already available हैं. They would be made available after the data is released after the next census. The previous census data are all available. But the unemployment.
आपकी आवाज चली गई, डॉक्टर जैन.
Oh, sorry. अभी आ रही है? Yeah, so Mr. Kanth asked me question on the data of unemployed graduates from the college. See, census has to balance between the number of questions asked and see the plight of the people also, because किसी गांव में जाके किसी इनोमरेटर के पास कोई 70 साल के व्यक्ति जो कि अनएजुकेटेड इलिटरेट है, उसके पास जाके कोई मोबाइल से लेके पकड़ के उसको 100 सवाल पूछने लग जाएगा, ये दे दो, ये दे दो, ये दे दो, वो बोलेगा भाई मेरे को अपना काम भी करना है, कितने सवाल पूछेंगे. Already there are 34 questions in first phase and almost 30 questions in second phase. So we need to balance between the number of questions asked, and we have to see the response also, because the entire exercise is to be covered within a period of, already जो हमारा questionnaire है, the average time is 40 minutes for one household to respond to the various questions. अब 40 मिनट हम all average में ले रहे हैं. If we keep on increasing the questions, वो 40 मिनट 2 घंटे में हो जाएगा. And you can imagine people living in rural areas, villages, illiterate people, they will be frustrated. So that is one. Second is unemployment data. I don't think so that directly unemployment data is released by the census. There are different questions on which the data is presented. The data on the unemployed college graduates or technical graduates, I don't think that is available in census. There may be other data sources, but our data is clear cut that these are the indicators. We already have, say, 250 tables for each and every state, district, city, ward, and village. Because of certain limitations, whatever is published, that is published, and whatever is not published and not available from census, then we have other sources.
Thank you. So if anybody else would like to say anything, otherwise, you know, yours was one of the longest lectures, not the lecture itself, but the longest time people stayed with us.
Yeah, madam, I completed my lecture within the stipulated time of 40 minutes.
Less time than allotted to you, but Professor Furkan Kamar's lecture was, which went on for, I mean, and the question answers went on for 2.5 hours, and people sat through. And yours is the second one, so congratulations and thank you very much.
Can I request you, because this subject is going to attract a lot of attention from various places. So maybe after 15-20 days, we may go on in physical mode for the schools, for the colleges in Haryana and even in Punjab. So I hope you'd be able to spare some time.
Thank you.
Is he there? I don't see him.
Okay, then we close today's session. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mahipal ji. Thank you, Anuj, for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
और
I'm grateful to
Mahipal, अगर अगले lectures तैयार हैं list तो दिखा दीजिए.
Next lecture is on July 2nd.
Excellent.
And we also have a lecture on July 2nd on the World Food Prize 2021 to be given by Dr. Ravneet Kaur, where the guest of honor will be Professor A.S. Ahluwalia. We missed doing this lecture. This lecture was missed in the last year, but we will fill up these gaps. On July 2nd, 11 a.m., we have a lecture by Dr. Ravneet Kaur from Punjab University, where the guest of honor is Professor A.S. Ahluwalia. It's World Food Prize 2021, which was awarded to Dr. Shakuntala Hilstead.
Thank you. So for the audience, our link is the same.
Yes.
If you click on this link on the proper date and time, you will get the lecture. Thank you very much.
I'm grateful to all of you. And I especially thank my oldest classmate, Sushil Jain. Okay, thanks a lot.